In a quiet village in Nigeria, children were believed to be born under different stars, some under the shadow of suffering, others under the light of fortune. Adisa was born under the latter. From the moment she took her first breath, prosperity followed her family. The crops grew fuller, the rivers never ran dry, and laughter filled their home. The villagers called her a child of the spirit, a gift from the gods. But not all spirits bring blessings. Some take. There were warnings passed down in whispers and never to be ignored. Among them, the elders often said, "Never accept food in your dream." It was a lesson of survival, one everyone feared. Adisa did not heed the warning. As the years passed, Adisa grew into a stunning maiden, one whose beauty could stop a man mid-step and make women sigh in admiration or envy. Her skin was as smooth and radiant as polished ebony, glowing under the sun like freshly oiled mahogany. Her eyes, dark and deep, held mysteries that seemed to pull people in as if the night sky itself had been captured within them. Her hair, thick and long, flowed down her back in rich black wave, cascading like a river under the moonlight. When she smiled, it was as if the earth itself paused to admire her. Her lips, full and red, like ripe palm fruits, curved in a way that left men dreaming of her long after she was gone. Her beauty was not just in face, but in her very being. She moved with the grace of a gazelle, her every step light and deliberate, her posture commanding yet effortlessly elegant. The village women marveled at how her waist curved like the bank of a winding river, how her voice carried the softness of a lullaby, yet the strength of a queen. Every young man in the village wanted her. They offered her gifts, recited poems, and performed grand feasts just for a moment of her attention. Some even quarreled over who was worthy to stand by her side. But beauty like hers came with its own curse. The women whispered behind her back, their envy coiling into suspicion. Some accused her of being more than human, claiming no one could be that beautiful without the touch of spirits. Even some elders watched her with wary, fearful eyes, that her radiance might have been borrowed for something beyond the mortal world. Yet, Adisa never let their world shake her. She was kind-hearted, full of laughter, and always carried herself with dignity. But the spirits had been watching too, and they wanted her for themselves. Then came the year when everything changed. The village had always been blessed with bountiful harvest, but that year, the land turned against them. The rain came late, and when they finally arrived, they brought more destruction than relief. Fierce storms ripped through the farmland, drowning the seedlings before they could take root. When the skies cleared, the sun blazed mercilessly, cracking the soil and scorching the leaves before the crops could mature. The golden fields of maize stood empty. The yam barns that should have been full of season's harvest were half empty. And the village markets, usually alive with trade, became eerily quiet. Families struggled. Mothers stretched what little food they had, giving their children more while they ate less. Fathers, who once walked with pride, now carried the weight of desperation in their eyes. Adisa's family was no exception. Her father, once a prosperous farmer, had lost more than half of his crops. Her mother, Mame, worked tirelessly, making the smaller portion of food last longer. But even that was not enough. Each night, Adisa went to bed with her stomach half empty, the ache of hunger gnawing at her ribs. And then came the whispers. A blessed girl as blessed as Adisa. Why does her family suffer now? Maybe her fortune has run out. Maybe the spirits that blessed her have taken their gifts back. Even her parents could not ignore the unspoken question in the village. Why had misfortune struck the child of fortune? One evening, as the sky darkened and the families sat in silence over a small bowl of pounded yam and soup. Mame took Adisa's hand and squeezed it gently. "This is only a trying time, my daughter," she said softly. "The gods test those, even those they love." Adisa looked down at the food, barely enough for all of them. Her stomach growled. "But when will it end, Mama?" she asked. "I don't know how much longer I can bear this hunger." Her mother cupped her face, her eyes dark with worry. "Listen to me, Adisa. No matter how much your belly aches, never accept food in your dreams." Adisa blinked. "What?" Mama's grip tightened. "The spirits are watching. Hunger weakens the body, but it also weakens the soul. They will come when they know you are most desperate. They will offer you a feast that smells sweeter than anything in this world. But you must resist." A shiver crawled up Adisa's spine. "If you eat," her mother continued, her voice barely above a whisper, "you make a covenant with them, and once you have, they do not let go." Adisa nodded slowly, though deep inside, she wondered how real her mother's warning truly was. She did not know that the spirit had been waiting, waiting for her to weaken, waiting for the moment she would be most vulnerable. And that moment came the night she closed her eyes and dreamt. That night, Adisa called on her mat, her stomach a hollow drum. The little food she had eaten did nothing to quiet the hunger clawing at her inside. The night was still, so still. Even the distant quacking of frogs and chirping of crickets seemed to have vanished into silence. As soon as her eyes grew heavy, she drifted into a world unlike she had ever seen. She was no longer in her small hut. Instead, she stood in the center of an unfamiliar village that shimmered under a blood-red sky. The air was thick with the scent of roasted meat, fresh baked bread, and spices richer than anything she had ever known. Before she stretched a grand wooden table, so long it seemed endless. It was covered with golden yams dripping with palm oil, steaming bowls of jollof rice, squared meats glistering with fat, and tropical fruits sliced open to reveal their ripe, juicy centers. The scent alone made Adisa's stomach twist in painful longing. Men and women in deep indigo robes sat around the table. Their faces were warm, their eyes welcoming, so welcoming. At the head of the table sat a woman unlike Adisa had ever seen. Her skin was like polished oils, flawless, yet something about her face felt stretched, as though the skin did not fully belong to her. Her eyes were silver, bright and unnatural, gleaming with something ancient and knowing. She smiled. "Come, child," she said in a voice smooth as honey. "You must be hungry." Adisa hesitated, her mother's words ringing in her mind. "Never accept food in your dreams." The woman lifted a piece of roasted meat, the juice glistening in the flickering lantern light. The scent wrapped around Adisa like an embrace. "Eat," the woman coaxed. "You have suffered enough." Her stomach rolled in protest, the hunger unbearable. The world outside this dream had given her nothing but emptiness. Here she was wanted. Here she was offered warmth and comfort. Her fingers trembled as she reached forward. She took the meat. She ate. The first bite was pure bliss, tender, spiced, dripping with juice that melted on her tongue. Her whole body shivered as warmth spread through her veins, filling her with an overwhelming sense of peace. But then the taste changed. The sweetness turned bitter. The warmth became cold. The flesh in her mouth squirmed. A sharp pain shot through her jaw as if the meat had grown thorns. She gagged, trying to spit out, but it was too late. The face around her began to shift, their eyes glowing, their teeth elongating into jagged fangs. The silver-eyed woman grinned wider than any human should be able to, her lips stretching too far, revealing 2 rows upon rows of sharp, glistering teeth. The covenant is sealed. Adisa screamed. She jerked awake, her body drenched in sweat, her mind slamming against her ribs. For a moment, she thought it was all a nightmare. Then she felt it, the hunger. But it was different now. It was not the hunger of an empty belly. It was deeper, darker. No matter how much she ate in the days that followed, it would never be enough. It started with whispers. Adisa began to hear things, murmurs in the wind, voices in the trees, whispering from the river. When she looked into the water, her reflection smiled back at her when she wasn't smiling. Shadows glittered at the edge of her vision, watching, waiting. Then came misfortunes. Her father's crop withered overnight, turning bristle and useless. Her brother fell ill with a fever that no herbalist could cure. Even the chickens refused to go near her, clucking in horror whenever she stepped outside. Adisa felt the stares of the villagers burn into her wherever she went. They whispered, their gazes full of suspicion and fear. And then, her mother knew. One night, Adisa woke up to find her mame sitting at her bedside, her lips moving in hurried prayers, a bowl of water placed before her. The dim glow of the oil lamp cast deep shadows over her mother's face. Mame's voice trembled. You, you ate in your dream. Adisa's breath caught in her throat. Didn't you? Tears burned the edge of her vision. She opened her mouth to deny it, but she couldn't. The silver-eyed woman's laughter still echoed in her mind. Mame's hand shook as she grabbed Adisa's face. Her eyes, once full of love, were now filled with horror. They have claimed you, she whispered. You are now born to them now. Adisa felt cold dread crawl up her spine. How do I break it? She whispered. Her mother looked away, the weight of her silence heavier than words. It's not easy. They don't let go. That same night, Mame led Adisa deep into a forest where an old herbalist lived at the edge of the village. His eyes were clouded by age, but sharp with knowledge. He did not need to be told why they had come. She has eaten with them, he asked. Yes, she has eaten with them, Mame said, her voice shaky and barely above a whisper. The herbalist let out a heavy sigh. They will come for her. He prepared a mixture of bitter herbs, forcing Adisa to drink until her stomach churned and she vomited something thick and black. But even that was not enough, because that night they came for her. Adisa found herself back in the glowing village, standing before the long wooden table. The silver-eyed woman sat at its head, watching with amusement. You try to undo what is done, she said, tilting her head. Why? Adisa clenched her fist. I never asked for this. The woman's lip curved into a smile. But you accepted it. You ate. The figures at the table leaned forward, their hollow eyes burning into her. Eat again, the woman commanded, holding out another piece of meat. Adisa turned to run, but the ground beneath her twisted like a living thing, dragging her back. The woman leaned closer, whispering into her ear, If you reject us, we will take everything. Adisa woke up screaming. Her mother and the herbalist were already there, chanting prayers and circling her with protective charms. The room darkened unnaturally. The shadows in the corners stretched, reaching out with clawed fingers. They are coming, the herbalist murmured. An invisible force clutched Adisa's throat, squeezing. She gasped, clawing at her neck, as the silver-eyed woman's laughter rang in her ears. You are ours. Adisa hurled a handful of powder into the air, and the shadow shrinked. The herbalist pressed a carved amulet against Adisa's forehead. Her body convulsed, the world spinning as something wretched was torn from her. A furious scream filled the air as the connection was severed. Then, silence. Adisa collapsed. When Adisa woke, the world felt lighter. The heavy weight that had settled in her chest for weeks was gone. The whisper that once coiled around her ears like smoke had vanished. For the first time since that fateful night, she felt normal again. Her mother was at her bedside, eyes swollen from lack of sleep. But when she saw Adisa's eyes open, tears of relief streamed down her face. She pulled her daughter into her arms, rocking her gently as she whispered prayers of gratitude to the gods. The change was almost immediate. Her younger brother, who had been on the brink of death for weeks, began to recover. His fever broke that very morning, and within days he was up and running around the village again, laughing like he used to. Her father's crop, once withered and dying, slowly began to heal. Rain fell that night, soaking into the thirsty earth, and within weeks, green shoots pushed through the soil, promising a season of abundance. The whisper among the villagers had changed. No longer did they speak in hushed tones. Their eyes filled with suspicion and fear. Instead, they came to her house with gifts of food, offering their blessings, believing that the gods had tested Adisa and she had overcome. The darkness that had once clung to her had dissipated, and with it, the misfortune that had plagued her family. But Adisa would never forget. She looked into the eyes of something ancient and insatiable, something that never truly let go. Even though her life had returned to normal, she knew that in the realm beyond the veil, they still watched, waiting. And that is why to this day, she will never eat in her dreams again. And neither should you. If you enjoyed this video, please click on the like button. Subscribe to our channel for more beautiful stories like that.